In this video, I'll show you how to set up invitations for clients coming into Clarityflow, and then how to automate that using our Zapier integration. So, some quick background on how the invitations and client onboarding system works. By the way, I have a separate video all about that if you want to take a look. But just some quick background information. In Clarityflow, when you invite someone and create a new invitation for a client or a guest, or a team member, um, it will create an invitation in your list of all of your pending and onboarding and complete invitations. Now, each invitation in your system can be customized. This is the onboarding flow that this person, your invitee, like your client or someone, after they click your invitation link, they will go through these steps. And you can customize which steps you want them to see. And you can set up a welcome video using our generic one or a custom one or a message template. And then you can decide where they will end up at the end of their onboarding flow. And once you've configured all of that, you can then go ahead and send the invitation using the email form in Clarityflow, or you can just share this link. This is the invitation link that your client can follow to go into their onboarding flow. And in my other video, I demonstrated what it looks like from the client's perspective, so you can take a look at that. But now that we have some basic understanding of how invitations work in Clarityflow, let's see how we can automate that using Zapier. So for example, if you're using a system where someone might make a purchase and then you want the purchase to trigger an invitation and then the invitation to send an email to the customer, and then the customer comes into Clarityflow and onboards into a conversation. That's a typical workflow. Let's see how you would set this up and automate it so that you can run it for many customers using Zapier. So this is just an example. Now, the first step, I'm just for demonstration purposes, I'm using a simple Google Sheet. Typically, you wouldn't use a Google Sheet as your trigger. You would probably use your payment system. And by the way, Clarityflow has its own payment system that we're coming out with this summer. But if you're using something else where somebody would make a purchase, you can use that as the triggering event, meaning someone has made a purchase, and then we have the customer's name and email coming out of this trigger. The next thing that you can do is use the Clarityflow Zapier integration to create an invitation. So let's take a look at that. The event that I'm choosing here is invite someone. So I'll select that. And then I connected my account. And now we're going to configure this invitation action. Now, the email address should be the email address that comes from the purchase. Now, in this case, again, it's just a simple spreadsheet just for demonstration purposes, but your payment system or your CRM or whatever might be sending the customer into this automation, that should be sending an email address for that customer. You want to get that email address from that triggering event and put it here in the email field. Then you'll also need to fill in the name for the customer. And then the rest of these options are these are the same options as the onboarding steps for your invitation. So all of these options here, these are available to configure here in Zapier. So you can just decide if you want users to have a step where they configure their profile, have a step where they enable their devices. You can turn these on and off. I won't go into all of them. Scrolling down, you can decide what type of welcome message you want to show the person. You can use our generic one. You can use a message template and so on. You'll notify a team member or yourself once the person has completed their onboarding. And then moving down into the redirection type, using Zapier, we currently let you send someone into a new conversation or an existing conversation. And we have other options coming along, like programs and spaces and other things. So in this case, we're going to have every new customer who goes through this automation, have them, let's set up a new conversation, a new one-to-one private conversation for that customer. So we'll do that, and then we'll continue. Now I tested it earlier, but I'm going to retest it now. Okay, so now what just happened? We created the invitation in Clarityflow, but we have not yet sent the invitation. All this does is it creates the invitation. So if I go back to my list of all invitations, now I see that invitation here listed at the top. This is the one that was just created via Zapier, and I can look at it. I can customize the onboarding steps. If I want to, I can manually send it off to the customer here from Clarityflow, but you probably want to automate the sending of the invitation as well. So that's where the next step comes in. Coming out of this step in Zapier, we give you the invitation URL. That's the same as this URL that you'll find in Clarityflow here. So you have the invitation link. This is the link we want to pass along to the customer so that they can click it and then enter their onboarding flow. So we're going to continue. And then the next step, now I'm using Zapier's built-in action for sending an email. There are different ways that you can send an email using Zapier. You can maybe connect your Gmail account. You can connect like your ConvertKit account or MailChimp or something like that. But this is the simplest way. You can just generate an email from Zapier. We're going to use the event send an outbound email. I'm going to continue. Now we are sending this email to the customer. Again, it's the same email address that we got from step one, which was the purchase. That's the same email address that we passed into the invitation, and now we're passing it into the to field on the email. Subject line, you can customize this. I just wrote, here is your invitation link. And then in the body, I just wrote a quick message. Hello, click this link to join me in Clarityflow. And then you want to put in that URL that we give you from step two. So the way to do that is, I'll just sort of do it again here. This little drop down, click the to and invite someone, and then get that URL. If you click it, it'll just insert that URL into the body. But I've already done that once, so we don't need it twice. Okay. And then if you want to set your reply to email address, you can set your from name and a couple other things, and you can continue. Now, I'm not really going to test this because it's just to a test email address, but basically the customer will receive an email that looks like this. And when they receive it, then they can click, that link. That's the same link that's in the email. And I'll show you what that looks like now, actually. I'll open up a new browser. So it's as if I'm the customer and I just received that email sent from Zapier and I clicked that link and now it takes me here. So this was a simple onboarding. We only had the single step to set my password. I'm going to do that. I'm going to accept the invitation. And we're going to configure a few things. And now I'm into the new conversation one-to-one between me and my coach or whoever sent me this invitation. And so now I'm the client and I'm onboarded and I can start to communicate. So that's the whole flow, automating an invitation using Zapier and using Clarityflow's invitation system. Thanks.